College tennis fans, welcome to this episode of College Tennis Talk. Today we are joined by CJ Weber, head men's tennis coach, Florida Gulf Coast. CJ, I want to thank you for joining us today on College Tennis Talk.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Looking forward to spreading some college tennis news.
No, it's awesome, and I'm excited that you're here with us today. I mean, you've got great experience at a Power 5 school, University of Miami, spent some time at Illinois, got your career started at a mid-major at Eastern Illinois, and now you've spent the last 9 years at Florida Gulf Coast. We've had this show going for a couple months now, and your name has come up time and time again. A lot of respect from your coaches across the country, and mostly discussing your ability to network and build community support and fan support, down there in Fort Myers. So I wanted to bring you on the show and kind of discuss that, especially in a time we're in where people are saying, hey, we've got to really strengthen our support and our stability within our programs.
Absolutely. I mean, growing the popularity of our sport has always been a huge passion of mine. I would say dating back to when I was a player. I mean, one of the things that I really enjoyed as a player was playing in front of a big crowd. If 10 people were watching me play, I would play my best tennis. If nobody was watching me play, it's like nothing got my juices going. So it kind of dates back to just how I was as a player and wanting to create great environments for my players to play in. And at Illinois, they do a great job of building up fan support there, and I had a year of exposure with them to sort of see some of the different things that they do. And then I just kind of continued that on, did some of the things at University of Miami. But here at Florida Gulf Coast, I invest a lot of time into, getting out into the community and making sure that the tennis community of Southwest Florida, they know when our matches are and that they want to come out and support us. And I mean, we've had some really good crowds.
You've had crowds over 600 people, and you talk about playing in front of 10, and a lot of times that is the crowd at a mid-major college tennis match.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of when I took over the program here at Florida Gulf Coast, I sort of wanted to prove to people and prove to myself that you're able to grow a very dynamic program and a very interesting program, even if you're not ranked top 10 in the country. I mean, I think a lot of coaches sort of feel like you need to be a national contender or you need to have all this national prowess in order to have an interesting product. And I just don't think that that's the case. I mean, I'm very, very proud of how good our program is. But we're far away from being top 10 in the country right now. But yet we have very interesting product. College tennis is extremely exciting to watch. Any sports fan goes out there and is surrounded by 6 really intense, passionate matches. People are going to fall in love with the sport. They just got to show up, And I think we as college coaches need to always challenge ourselves to just continue to grow our sport because it is awesome. I mean.
What are some of the things that when you got to Florida Gulf Coast that you started to implement to help build that community support and ultimately bring the fans out and expose them to your team, to your program, to this sport of college tennis?
Well, we're very fortunate here in Fort Myers that there's somewhere around 70 country clubs within a 30-mile radius of Florida Gulf Coast. So I can tap into some resources here that a lot of programs can't. But for the most part, I focus on those relationships with the clubs that are really close by. And I'm always making sure that our schedules are up there. I'm in good communication with the tennis directors. We have something here called Pro League, where a lot of the tennis pros in the area, they compete against each other every Friday. So I try to make myself visible at those places because they get a lot of tennis fans out to those. So I'm handing out flyers and doing things like that. When I first got to,
do you ever take any of your players with you to the Friday night leagues?
Yes, yeah, and they'll help me hand out flyers and stuff like that. And my guys have become very passionate about promoting the program. Also, I think as soon as a player plays in front of a fun crowd, they're willing to put in the work. So I'm not just doing it myself. I mean, my players are out there grinding with me.
They've all bought into it.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just fun. This year we were very fortunate to host University of Miami, and that was just awesome. And I mean, we played. We didn't get an official head count because the way our facility is set up, it's difficult to get an official head count. But we had between 500 and 600 people at that match, and um, a lot of people were on that court. Number one, I wasn't coaching there, but whenever our number one player won a point, you could just feel the ground kind of thunder and everything. It was just, the crowd was super into it. And their head coach, Al Hosha, shook my hand at the end of the match. They beat us, and he was just like, "Man, this is a tough place to play." When but it's I mean, I hope that it's a fun and challenging environment for our opponents. Also, I mean, it's just college tennis is great. It's good for my players at home, and I think it's great for the opposing players to be able to play in front of people that care about what you're doing. So
I think the players enjoy, or any athlete enjoys, whether the spectators, the crowd is cheering them on or cheering for their opponent. It's just kind of an energy that seems to just bring out the best in all these student athletes.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you mentioned your crowds and the support and Miami coming in and saying, hey, this is a tough place to play. And we were scheduled, and unfortunately the season was cut short, but we actually were on each other's schedule to come down to Fort Myers and play you guys. So I don't know if we lucked out and not having to get into that hostile environment or not, but I do hope we get back on each other's schedule. Fort Myers would be a great place for us to bring our team and play.
Yeah, we'll promote that match like crazy. I mean, I know that our match against you guys is going to be a really good one, and those types of matches are really easy to promote. So when you know it's going to be a tight match and there's passionate tennis out there, people want to watch it. So, but yeah, don't be thinking it's a hostile crowd. I mean, they just love their tennis and they get excited, and it's just I would love all of our opponents to view it as something as fun and challenging, and not something that's unfair. I think we have a very respectful crowd, and they're just a lot of times they cheer for both teams too. We have an older community down here as well, so they just want to see good tennis. But they like it when FGCU wins a point more than the opponents, though. I can't lie about that.
I got you. All right. So you discussed going out in the community and really, building relationships that way. Are there other strategies you've used to help, build that connection? Are you leaning on the athletic department and their support?
Well, the athletic department certainly helps whenever they can. So we have a very good sports information director that keeps our social media presence strong. Social media is something that's kind of a weakness of mine that I really want to get a lot stronger at that, because that's something that I know I can use that even more to help, to help promote our program.
I think we need our younger assistant coaches to take those over.
Yeah, that would be really nice. All the different things that we're thinking about as a head coach, but fortunately for me, it's something that I'm passionate about. So when I'm investing time into community involvement, it's not really a chore of mine. But one thing that I really enjoy is I've started up a newsletter from day one here at FGCU, and I kind of write a weekly or bi-weekly newsletter to our fans. And it's sort of rather than only reading our news releases or only reading what's on social media, I will give my insights, my personal insights into what's going on with the program, and kind of provide some details to our fans that sign up for that newsletter, things that I will share with them that might not be shared to just the overall public. I might tell them exactly what I think about a particular match or what's going on with the guys, just
is this something that you're emailing out?
Yeah, that's an email. So, I mean, I don't even know how many how many people are on that newsletter now, but it's probably over 1,000. I mean, people, and that's just, I write something fun. I enjoy writing, and then one click of a button and it goes out. And I tell people, if you know somebody who's interested in getting on, have them email me, and I put them on there. So it's just sort of become this snowball where, I mean, right now it's just, it's not that much work. Early on, it felt like a lot more work.
I think the other interesting thing to note is that Florida Gulf Coast is not a storied program. The school itself is not that old, and so trying to dip back and reach back into older alumni and the traditions of the school, you just don't really have that. So what you're doing there is essentially all brand new.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I took this job. Because I sort of felt like, I mean, every coach has an opportunity to start fresh whenever they go and put their stamp on the program. But I sort of felt like here, I mean, when I inherited the program was only 11 years old. And so it was, 11 or 12 years old. And so I'm like, man, this is something where we can really create history at this place. And I've been very fortunate to have a lot of support from the previous alumni that were here. I mean, I know every single player that graduated from Florida Gulf Coast. My predecessor, Jay Webb, he still works at the university. We have a good working relationship, and so FGCU, we've really created a kind of this true family environment, and a lot of it has to do with our youth. I mean, we have right around 40 alumni, and it's a little easier to get everybody to get to know each other when it's not so big, I guess.
So your team, you're talking about alumni, and is a lot of college programs right now, whether it's tennis or the other athletics, have international players. How are your international guys staying connected with the program? Are you seeing that they're still behind and supportive of what you're doing there?
100%. 100%. There's, I mean, regardless of where my alumni are from or where they currently live, they're in full support of the program. I have a WhatsApp group with every single one of the guys that's graduated under my time here. And, we probably send out messages at least once a week. I mean, almost constant communication between all of my alumni, because I want them to feel part of everything that we're still doing. We all of us coaches, we played college tennis, or probably at least, the vast majority of us have. And we like to follow what the program that we played for. And I want Florida Gulf Coast to always be something that the alumni are really proud of, that they can look to the program and know, wow, like I was a part of that one day, and those guys are experiencing something very similar as I did, 5 years ago. So I remember last year when we won the conference championship, as we kind of settled down and got the guys into the corner, I called, I put like a voice note on and had like all the guys celebrate and just go crazy, and just sent that to all the alumni in that WhatsApp group. And they just, and that helps them reminisce some of the memories that they had and things like that. So that relationship with the alumni is more important than anything for me.
And so many of us are using the social media platforms, the Twitter, the Instagram, Facebook, and putting out, information and updates. But you're going another step further and actually personalizing it with a alumni group and sending them the direct messages. And I think that point right there, and you sharing with that is so important to any college program.
Yeah, and I would encourage all college coaches to do that. I mean, even if you can't get everybody on a group, just do what you can, because the relationships with our former players are vital to they're the lifeblood of our program. I mean, we're going through a really tough time right now, and unfortunately, some programs are getting cut, and college tennis has been something where we're trying to push it to another level to where we can continue to thrive. And I think if we have a vibrant alumni base and people that are proud of what they did and stay involved, I mean, that's something really easy to tap into to show that our programs matter. And so that's a big reason, like a tangible reason of why to do it. That's not specifically the exact reason why I do it. I just enjoy it. But I mean, we need to be doing these things. I mean, people need to be interested in our programs.
Yeah, that's so true, so true. And again, I'm glad you're sharing that and giving that little tip if others aren't doing it, and willing to share that. That's awesome. You talked about staying connected with the alumni. You talked about trying to get connected with the community, and Friday nights going out to some leagues. We've heard a message from some other coaches that are taking their teams out and either playing a dual match on a neutral site or going around their area and hosting practice sessions at other facilities. Have you taken that step with your team? Is that something you guys have ever done in the past, or even at this point might consider? I mean, you're getting over 600 fans to your matches, so you seem pretty set there.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's something that I didn't mention. I mean, we do practices and little exhibitions out in the community. We'll play little doubles matches at places. A lot of times in these country clubs, it's a lot easier for the tennis directors to promote within their club. So we'll go over there, play a little doubles match, and they'll get 100 people out at the match. They've never even heard of Florida Gulf Coast. Some of these places is crazy. They're 10 minutes away and they've never even heard of the university. And but then they see the guys play and they're just like, wow, like we could watch this level of tennis like this, and then they start coming to our matches. So we definitely go out and do little practices and exhibitions. Real recently, we've started the last 2 years. We started a neutral site tournament at the Bonita Bay Club, which is a really nice country club in the area. It's on clay. We've hosted kind of 3 different teams this last year. We had Memphis, Louisville, and Minnesota, and just played matches against them. And they housed all the players. They provided food and just did all these things. And so we played an entire tournament at a country club on clay the last 2 years. And, we're hoping to do it again this year. We're working through some of the complications with the coronavirus, but this is something that we plan on doing, year in and year out.
No, again, that's a great idea, and I'm glad you shared that with us as well. And maybe one day we'll get an invite down to that tournament. But I definitely want to bring our team down to Fort Myers. I grew up in Florida, so I still have a lot of family and friends in this area, so it'd be fun for us to play in front of them as well.
Yeah, I mean, Florida's a great place. We hope to use our geography to attract people to come down and play us. So.
Yeah, we'll keep taking advantage of it. We talked about what you've done since your arrival at Florida Gulf Coast. Now I want you to think a little bit into the future and share maybe your vision of the program and where you'd like to see it in a few years.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's just I want to make FGCU the best program in the country. I mean, I think I think we're already doing that. We may not be ranked number 1 in the country, but I think I want this place. I want my guys to be more proud of playing for Florida Gulf Coast than any other university. I mean, when they choose to come to Florida Gulf Coast, I never want them to regret that decision. And I think if I do that, then I'm doing my job. And that's my ultimate goal. I mean, I don't really have a super specified vision of the program, but and some may say that that's not a good thing, but I just want to focus on getting better every single day and let the end result take care of itself. But I see a lot of potential in this program. We've experienced a lot of success the last several years, but I definitely think that we can get better if we can continue to bring in really solid players. I would like to start making some bigger splashes on the national level. Um, those are personal goals. I definitely want to start winning a round or two at the NCAAs. We've been very fortunate to play in the NCAAs several times, but haven't won a round yet. So that's definitely something that we're clawing for, and we're always trying to get better in that regard. But the bottom line is the exact potential of the program. I mean, I don't want to put limits on us. So I just want to, next year I want to be a little bit better than this year. And then the year after that, I want to be a little bit better, not just in terms of our level, but in terms of the entire program, the relationships I build with the players, the community involvement that we do, that we've been talking about, our relationship with the administration, our grades and student interaction and all of that stuff. I just want to get a little bit better every year.
Well, and it sounds like you're doing things the right way. And again, I like what you say. Like you want your student athletes to be as proud or more proud than any other student athlete in the country. And they want to have that feeling, and you trying to provide the best experience for them at Florida Gulf Coast. And it sounds like you're doing that. So we applaud you. You have the respect from your colleagues throughout the country. As I mentioned, as we started this, your name just kept popping up of somebody that's doing it the right way down at Florida Gulf Coast and is really building something special down there in Fort Myers. So CJ, great work.
Yeah, thanks a lot. This is a job that I'm super passionate about, and I figured it out my senior year in college that I wanted to be a college coach, and I love the whole college tennis system. We have 8 to 10 players, so it's easy to build up relationships with all 8 to 10 of those guys every single year. Coaches matter a lot. I mean, you mentioned before that we have a lot of international players on our team, and these guys are traveling, thousands of miles to get here, and many of them it's their first time living in a place away from their families and speaking a new language and things like that. And I think our roles are extremely, extremely important. And sometimes we forget about that a little bit, that these are 18-year-old kids, a lot of them have traveled all over the world, but they're still 18, and they need help, and they need people to love them and care for them and guide them. So that's
and give them a second home.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you mentioned something, and I just want you to touch on it just a little bit. Your senior year as a player, as a student athlete, you had already made the decision or were strongly thinking about becoming a college coach. What got you thinking that way?
I mean, I think that I've always had inside me, I've always had something to where I wanted to be in a position of influence. When I was in college, I thought, I first thought that I was going to be a teacher. In some capacity. I was studying psychology, really learning about human behavior, I guess. That fascinated me. And I thought I was going to, move on and be a college professor and just work with other students in that regard. But my senior year, I just got to thinking, I'm like, man, I've been passionate about psychology for 2 years, but I've been passionate about tennis ever since I started. And that passion has never wavered. Why would I rather be a college professor? Or would I rather be a coach in a sport that just, like, for some reason, I've just always grabbed onto this thing. And so I don't know, it was kind of an epiphany moment, I guess, to where it was like, you know what, I'm supposed to be a coach. And I immediately got into that. I mean, after my senior year, I became a graduate assistant at my alma mater at Eastern Illinois. And then I was very fortunate to be involved with the University of Illinois program, and I became a volunteer assistant there. And I just wanted to get into that exposure and do whatever I needed to do to become a college coach.
Well, it sounds like you made the right decision, and your student athletes are lucky to have you.
I'd like to think that. I'm lucky to have them though too. That's they treat me they all treat me really good.
Yeah, it definitely goes both ways. It's a very rewarding job. So, CJ, I want to thank you for the time you spent with us already, but we're going to move into a little quicker segment of the show called Quick Volleys. Are you
All
ready
right.
for some rapid fire action?
Sure. We'll see how I do right here.
All right, so quick volleys. Here we go. All right, starting a tennis match. Would you serve or return?
I would return.
No ad scoring, like or dislike?
Love it.
That's strong. All right. Returning a no ad deciding point.
Definitely ad side.
Ad side. All right. First racket you ever picked up.
It was a racquetball racket, actually, with a broken string. Don't know the brand.
And you kept playing. All right. Racket that you used in juniors.
Oh, first real racket was a Wilson Pro Staff,
All right. Racket you used in college.
and I kept using it all throughout college.
Gotcha. All right. Current racket of choice.
The blade,
Wilson blade.
yep.
Is there a preferred string?
No, whatever's left over, and we're trying to get rid of as a team.
Okay. All right. You're the all right. Favorite book.
Favorite book. I mean, any coaching book. I mean, any leadership book.
All right. Favorite movie.
Blood Diamond.
Do you have a favorite tennis movie?
I do not know.
No favorite tennis movie. There's not many, so I don't know if you've missed too much. All right. Is there a current show you're streaming?
No, but my wife and I are watching This Is Us. That's pretty much the only show that I'm following.
All right. Best facility in Florida. We're going to go college facility.
FGCU.
All right. Outside of Fort Myers.
Man, there's good ones. I like UF's facility.
All right. Best facility in the A-Sun.
Florida Gulf Coast.
Florida Gulf Coast. They're racking it up. All right. Toughest place to play in the A-Sun.
For us to play would be UNF. They're our biggest rival.
All right. Most memorable moment as a college player.
Just my conference tournament senior year, the whole conference tournament, knowing that was the end of it was really memorable for me.
That also might go down as the toughest moment. But most memorable moment as a college coach.
There's a lot of them, but I'm gonna go our first championship, 2015 championship, because that's that was the first championship I ever won as a player or a coach, and so I felt like that was that my whole life had been building up to that. So that was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome to share. Thank you. The person who had the most impact on you as a junior tennis player.
My dad.
The person who's had the biggest impact on your college coaching career.
In a very indirect way, I would like to say the late John Wooden.
Okay. All right. Hobby off the tennis court.
Music, playing music, guitar, ukulele. My wife recently got me a mandolin, so I'm learning how to play that.
Jeez. All right. So I was going to ask you, do you have any new hobbies since the COVID-19 hit?
Yeah, that one. And also I would say buying houses, because my wife and I decided to buy a house in this madness.
Okay. All right. What former college coach would you like to have dinner with?
Dan McGill.
Nice choice. All right. If you were not coaching college tennis, what would you be doing?
Teaching in some capacity.
I thought maybe you would Say something in music with your
Well,
musical
and
instruments.
as soon as you kind of smirked after I said that, I mean, maybe I should be more creative and dream a little bigger. It would be
Yeah.
awesome to be like a Jack Johnson or something like that playing in front of people.
All right. Well, you still have time. All right, CJ, thanks a lot for joining us on College Tennis Talk. It was a pleasure having you on the show. Keep up the great work in Fort Myers, and we'll look forward to getting back on the court soon.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and really appreciate what you're doing with all these interviews and promoting college tennis. And let's get through this pandemic together and rise to be bigger and better after this thing.
All right, absolutely, man. Thanks again.
All right. Yep. Take care.